Welcome to the Insurance Dudes podcast. In this week's episode, co-host and dude Jason Feldman talked me into the hot seat and grilled me on the ups and downs of agency ownership, hiring woes, and how we work to sell our perceived commodity differently and better. This is Insurance Dudes, and we're pumped you're here. Do it, brother.
Craig, how you doing, man?
Great. Always good.
Awesome. Hey, I've got to know you a little bit over the last year. Who's Craig? Who is Craig Pretzinger?
Oh no, such a complex. Simple,
Where did you come
far
from?
do I go
How did you get
back?
started?
Huh?
What brought you into? Let's start with what brought you into insurance?
Well, before insurance, I was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
I wore a suit. The beginning of my career was in Tucson, no air conditioning, in an old Prelude, wearing the same suit every day and convincing people to move $250,000 over. So what was really interesting and a great learning experience from making 500 to 1,000 cold calls a day for a wirehouse was having to learn really, really intense and specific products, but then how to market to a very, very, very limited audience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're cold calling 900 people. Out of the 900 people in a day, I mean, maybe one of them even qualifies, right? Because it's not like what we're doing where our, us or LSPs are calling and everybody for the most part can buy our product.
Right.
And if not, then, there's other things, places to send them or whatever. But for the most part, everybody has to have our product, right? There, almost nobody qualified for the product. And the production requirements were tremendous. Like we had to do, I can't remember the exact numbers, but like in 2 years, we had to bring in 15 million in assets or you're fired.
What got you into that?
That's a funny question because before, like my dad was in that business for a very long time, not here in Tucson and not with Merrill Lynch. So no relation. And I always told him, and I was around it, there's no way I'm doing that. I don't want to wear a suit. I don't want to, I can't imagine. I don't want to work from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. Like all of the things that I said I will never do, I ended up doing. And it was actually pretty cool because then, my dad and I have always had a great relationship, same with my mom, but it was another thing to, connect on. So
And how old were you?
That was 2003. So 2003.
Now what year? How old were you?
Late 20s.
Nice.
Late 20s. Late 20s, maybe early 30s.
Gotcha. Okay, so it was kind of a family.
I'm 46. I mean, I'm not going to hide my age. I know I look 80, but I'm only 46. But this is what happens when you do insurance. When you've had as many as 12 LSPs or as few as one, you age.
The ups and downs, right?
It happens.
It does happen.
Sometimes you have to reboot. I think we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Okay, so you're at Merrill Lynch, killing it, making a billion phone calls on a rotary dial phone.
Killing the activity, for sure.
So how did you get into insurance?
No, it was operator. Give me 613.
Yeah. So you're crushing it at Merrill Lynch. What got you into Allstate?
This person who left Merrill Lynch purchased an Allstate and he started doing really well. And I was still at Merrill and just got the introduction to somebody who was selling their agency first in, not to go too far down in the weeds, but I first looked at one in Texas and we got pretty far along. Like we'd actually put a down payment on a house.
Wow.
We were going to move to Texas, but just whatever. It's a great place, but the deal fell apart at the last minute and I was younger and a lot more volatile. So it hit me pretty hard, but we, obviously survived, learned from it. and have gone on to, and then we found the one here in town, which actually worked out better because we didn't have to move. We didn't have to uproot the family, and we know and love Tucson. So it worked out great. Yeah.
So then, so how many years? How many years has it
Merrill
been?
until 2007, and in between Merrill and the Allstate, because this thing got kind of drawn out. I was looking at this thing, and I actually left Merrill with the intent to move to Texas. And then it unwound, and then no job. Then holy shit, what am I going to do? And I got a call. I mean, just kind of happened. I got a call out of the blue from somebody, that found my resume on Monster and said, "Oh, I see you've been at Merrill. You want to come and run this bank program as a financial advisor?" And I thought, well, okay, sure. So we went, talked about it. The numbers worked out. And so I did that until 2008 when I bought the agency. But I mean, that was sort of the placeholder. And I'll tell you, like, you have the wirehouses, and then you have us, the insurance guys that are doing securities, but at a pretty limited way versus what we were doing at Merrill. Like, we were doing some really crazy stuff. I mean, there were people doing CMOs. Everybody remembers that's what wrecked the economy, right?
Yeah.
And so there were people selling, like the guy in the cube next to me was a believer in those CMO. He's like, "Oh, these are the best." And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't understand. I don't want to mess with that."
Right.
I'm sticking to the program. But at the bank, it's like this weird middle niche, because banks have to keep, like, what do banks do? They borrow money from consumers so they can loan it out, right, in the form of deposits. Right. So what was interesting at this situation, they were just trying to figure this all out, and it ended up not working out for them. But they wanted to have the money that you get from having a broker dealer, but at the same time, they're competing with the bank that you're sitting in, because every deposit, like, let's say there's $100,000 deposit account at the bank, you're gonna, and I'm talking to them to put them in a variable annuity or whatever, right?
Right.
If we move that off the bank's balance sheet, it affects their deposit base. Right. And so this was this giant adversarial relationship. I mean, it was a great place and really cool people, but yeah, the bank model I can see why agents or advisors struggle in the bank business. I don't know if it's the same now. It could be different. They may have figured all that out, but that was unique. But at the same time, when it was sort of going nuts, and then the crash happened, I remember late 2008 is when the market went down. I don't know, what was it, 800 in a day or 1500? It was a ton. The Dow went way down, right? Or 5,000. Yeah. I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
The market was I think it was at 13 or 10. I can't remember. But that, like, shortly after that day, the agency that I now own, the guy said, "Hey, I'm selling. We need to move quick." And I'm like, "I'm ready to move quick. Let's do it." And so, because I'd been looking at the numbers, and I knew that I was familiar with at that point in time, it was called the CSRPs. So the CSRP, there were a few different reports, list 60s, and all those reports that now they've changed names.
We're going to take a quick break here. A word from our sponsor, Agency Vault, and then we will dive back into the first year. Insurance Dudes podcast is sponsored by Agency Vault, an industry leader in agency coaching, hiring, and sales training. Agency Vault's unique connection between the hiring process and the sales training process has helped thousands of insurance sales producers and agents gain confidence and strengthen their abilities to sell more policies. Let's jump back in to year one.
What was your first year like?
Terrible. Terrible.
How so?
So let me tell you. So I bought it without getting too far into the weeds on numbers. So the agency was losing $90,000 in premium a month.
Wow. Wow.
So I
Loose, like
inherited
falling off the books?
a staff that didn't respect or really care.
How many
And
people?
there were four in one office, and it was 4 and 4,
Okay.
and it didn't last. Like I had to almost flip the whole thing over. A couple of the really long-term ones stayed, and now none of them are here. But you know, there was that whole ramp up, because what I learned was, man, it doesn't matter how good of a sales guy you are over here. If you don't know how to manage the people, you're
Done.
in deep doo-doo, right?
Yeah.
If you don't create buy-in, like we do this thing over with some workshops we do with some of our coaching, and we always ask, it's kind of a trick question, who's your number one and who's your number two client? And everybody's like, well, it's the highest household, or, you know, all these different things. And it's like, no, it's these guys.
Yeah.
They're your number one and your number two client. Because if you can't get your staff to buy in, then you're not getting any prospects to buy in. You're not getting anybody to buy in.
Yeah.
And it took me
That's
a
true.
long time of banging my head against the wall to figure that out. And that, I know that led to probably, you know, there were some successes along the way, some inner circles and honor ring and all that. But, you know, that led to, I don't know, the ups and downs at that point led to a lot of drinking, and the drinking can, you know, become a slippery slope. So
Did you
I
drink
no longer
before?
drink. Huh?
Did you?
Yeah,
were
you know,
before? Or
yeah,
during the whole time?
there was a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
There was a lot of drinking. Too much. I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, that's
Yeah.
sales. You know, a lot of the people who can be most successful in a sales environment where you have to be able to go and be able to handle the ups and downs. That's what happens. You know, at
So
least
were
that's
you
what happened with me, and I see it a lot.
And were you selling at that time
Oh yeah.
in the
Yeah, I was
agency?
selling. Yeah.
Are you now?
No.
No.
I haven't
How did that?
this year. I know we're only 2 months in. I did one home quote and sold it. It just, everybody was busy, and I thought, this will be great. I'll just do it. And no, no, I should not be doing that, because now this person, they only want to talk to me, and it's hard to create manage that expectation with somebody. If they come in and they talk to you, they want to talk to you. Right.
Yeah.
I laid down a lot of those expectations and set the boundaries, and they're still calling, and they have to talk to me. And this is, so it's just,
That's funny.
but I love selling. That's the thing. I love selling, and that's why the other businesses, because then I'm able to sell, but not have to get down into the weeds with a lot of the details, and keep it more high level.
You love training your staff, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, so you're selling them.
Yes. And that's why for me, and for, I think, agency owners that are, you know, above that, it really depends on debt, but once you have some cash flow and you can step back and you don't have to be part of the growth, then that's how you leverage your time, right? You leverage your love of sales by coaching your team and making them more successful. Because if we're like, I can sell a renter's policy. I mean, I can sell that home. I sold that home, but I probably spent 3 hours on it. And what did we make? You know, we made $50 for the year. So was that worth the 3 hours? Am I worth $15 an hour? I sure as hell hope not. I mean, I get on coaching calls and do it for $500 an hour. So, you know, why spend 3 hours for 50 when I can help somebody and they're going to get back that return too? Like, if somebody spends $500, they're going to get $500 worth, right?
Yeah.
I go all out. And if they don't, then fine. Here's your money back.
You know? So when did you stop drinking?
4 years ago. I don't know the exact date, but it was late February, 4 years ago.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Changed the game, man. Change the
Yeah,
focus.
that's
Instead
awesome.
of being focused on chasing the buzz or chasing the celebration, now it's on chasing the activity. Because
Yeah,
for me, it was about, okay, I'm going to focus on the results. Party because of those results. I deserve these results. Or if it's bad, right, then it's
yeah,
shit's terrible. Oh, I better get hammered. So it just wasn't productive for me.
right,
I mean, I was still able to win and do stuff, but not at this level. Definitely
right.
not at this level, and not with a podcast and
Family.
businesses and family, a 18-year-old daughter I was lamenting with you about. I mean, so there's a lot,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on, and those teenagers really bang you up.
Oh man,
Ready?
I'm terrified.
Be terrified.
I got some years though.
Yeah, you do.
So you got Agency Vault. When did you put that together?
I think we soft launched December of 2016.
Cool.
The official launch was February of 2017.
What brought it together?
Well,
How did that form?
the pain. So there's a lot of pain involved in doing this. Whether you're an independent, whether you're an Allstate, whether you're farmers, it's that ramp up and that learning curve, right? Where for the light bulb to go on, that these people out here are the most important, and how to do that, how to find them, to train them so that they can sell like you can, to make, to create leverage, because I create leverage with my time if I have 5 LSPs that can write 30,000 plus a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huge leverage, because I could do it myself and maybe there's less headaches, but in the long run, there's likely more headaches. And then I have a job.
Sure.
Like, I don't want a job. I want to be a business owner. And you use a business to create leverage. I talk about my one of my business mentors and my business partner, Neil Tricarico.
Mm-hmm.
He works with Tony. And most people have heard of Tony Robbins, but he helped Tony build Business Mastery. So, and I don't say that to make some special thing. It's just because it's part of the story.
And it's cool.
And it is pretty cool. I got to meet him. I get to shake hands with him. But like in losing 90,000 a month and going down this road where, like, to stop the momentum of 90,000 of premium going out the door every month, it's not like you just hit the button and it stops. There's a lot of crap going on that makes that happen, which, may have been overlooked in the excitement and need to purchase the agency, but it is what it is, right? So valuable learning experience. In that pain, I reached out to Neil, because he's one of my longest best friends. We went to kindergarten together, so we've known each other forever. And I knew that he'd been traveling all over the world, basically, and had just got back from Fiji, from Tony's. Tony has a resort in Fiji. He just got back. He was all pumped, and this was pre-Facebook, I think, or at least right when it was starting. So I called him and I just said, hey, we go on this guys trip where we go to this cabin. There's like 6 of us from college. We do it every year. And I said, hey, when on this trip, we need to talk about my business, because I know that this is what you do. And I know that I can't keep going the way that I'm going, because I'm going to either drink myself to death or lose the business, or both. Right. And so we sat down and we built the plan. We created the GPS. I think that's one of the easiest ways for people to understand. It's like, look, you may know you want Inner Circle, and I know, like, you've been super successful, right? With you're in the top 10. What was it? The number 10 for best in company.
Yeah.
Got to bring that up. So, but without that GPS, without knowing where do we need to go, not just I want Inner Circle, but specifically, how do I get to Inner Circle? Like, a lot of people just hope that they'll get results by working hard. But if you don't have that goal, like if you haven't programmed the coordinates in the GPS, you're not getting there. You can't just drive around and you
Right.
show up at Inner Circle. So and there also, there is some luck, right? A lot of things have to work perfectly for that to happen, but it
Yes.
starts with having the right people and having the right processes in
Right.
place so that you can train those people and hold them accountable to their activity.
Everything has to be measurable.
Everything has to be measurable. And that's what strikes me as I talk. Like, I've talked with thousands of agents over the last couple of years because of Agency Vault. And one of the things that agents and LSPs, but one of the things that always seems to surprise me, even though I shouldn't be surprised anymore, is when I say, how many items do you have to write this year net of retention to hit Inner Circle? I don't know. And it seems like that's the first thing that you should be asking when you purchase or start an agency, right? What are my coordinates for my GPS?
Right.
Like any sales job, the first thing, like, you've had sales jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing you ask the sales manager? How do I max my pay plan?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yep.
not, well, I'm going to work my ass off
Yeah.
and hopefully
These are my goals and how do I get there?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are my goals? Great. Now let me build the strategy. Because if you build the strategy and then you execute on the strategy, you're going to get results. They may not be the results that you want to get, because you're going to set benchmarks and say, okay, here's our goal. Here's what we have to do. And then you're going to adjust if it doesn't work, right? Like, if you're buying internet leads and they're not working, well, is it the leads or is it the process behind the leads?
Right.
Everybody blames the leads, right?
Exactly.
But every lead is a phone number and a name. So how is this lead different than that lead? They're all the same.
Right. Yeah. It's all about
Somebody
the
will
process.
crucify me for saying that, but it's, they're shooting the messenger.
I mean, if somebody's walking down the street or they're filling out a form online, what's the difference? I mean, it's just different avenues. You can't say that one is less valuable if you are talking to somebody. However it takes to get to that person doesn't matter.
If I guess you could argue a lead is no good if there's no way to get a hold of them. So if it was just a name, then that's a shitty lead.
Yeah.
But if it's a name and an accurate phone number and that person picks up the phone, then it is our or LSP's responsibility to make that person understand why they need our solution.
Yep.
Right? Because sales is all about need. If you can't figure out what they need and then deliver that, then it is all about price.
Right.
I know you've heard it. You've heard the LSP say she was price driven.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, she was. Who isn't? That's what they're trained. They're trained to be price driven. Of course they are. They would be insane if they weren't.
In the absence of value, price is a concern. Just, you got to build the value.
Right.
People buy Mercedes.
Build the value till you know till they tell you what they need. Right. So you have to elicit from them. You have to break down all the barriers and walls and all the reasons why they don't want to talk to you in the first place. But then when you get past that and you have some trust and they're like, this guy's okay. And I love how your team calls leads, right? That, hey, it's Jason.
Yep.
And they're like, what? Yeah, it's Jason. We talked last month. So you create that, this guy's okay, right? Like if you can get them to say this person's okay, or this person, I want to talk to them for at least 10 more seconds. Right? Now you got your foot in the door.
Yeah. You have to sell them on the phone call to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in dating, you don't just meet the other person and start kissing them, right? There's some stuff that leads up to that. And so
depending on which website you go to, I guess, right?
Right, of course. But there's with anything, there's this buildup. And so unfortunately, when we call a lead, there may be a lot less time, especially if it's aged or not real time, or we're not the first call on a real time. Then there's a lot of obstacles, right? And they're likely pissed, but you got to break through it. They're pissed. I'd be pissed too if I just got 10 phone calls.
Yeah.
I mean, send a voicemail. Why did you call 5 times? Then I answer. And then if it's India, I freaking, right? But if it's somebody that is halfway nice, I'm too nice. Like I don't hang up on them.
Right.
So, and that's most people. We're all humans, right? If they can appeal to our emotion and make us like them, or we can make them like us, then
yep.
Then we're onto something. And I think that's what's beautiful about your approach.
So would you say that the hardest thing that you've had in the last 10 years with your agency has been hiring people and training them?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And training them to think like you?
I don't necessarily encourage groupthink. I want everybody to be able to think for themselves. So we do want to train them on a specific process, but those processes can always be tweaked, right? And they don't necessarily continue to work forever. You know, in these groups, we see all this different ideas and everything. But one thing that comes up a lot is that notion of, hey, look, it's, or even if you talk like Russell Brunson or, you know, some of these internet guys, it's test, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with these processes. Like you may have an airtight automation on the back end that sends out approved text messages, but you know, some kind of airtight system that you go through, and this fourth message is pulling, you know, all month, and like, wow, they're responding to this, and you know that, okay, this is when we need to call them. But then the next month, like, it doesn't matter. They're like, they hit stop every time they get to that fourth message. And it's like, okay, well then we got to tweak it. Right. But
I mean, that's true. Yeah. There wasn't what were you guys doing 10 years ago? Right. Before.
Oh man, it was
the CRM.
Wild West. It was rotary. No, but it was the call, you know, it was like, here's the audit, here's the list, you know, cross out, highlight, do whatever technique. And again, like everybody had their own, like I'm not such I'm the opposite of a micromanager. So I believe that they should be like me in that they should have some sort of, you know, drive and ability to think for themselves. Doesn't always happen, and that's okay. And that's why, you know, I'm here to coach them. I'm here to help them.
Right.
But like with that, like everybody, I wouldn't go, you have to do it with a blue one and you have to do it with a red one. And if they're not, it's like, look, here's the list, whatever way you need to do to manage it, given the resources that we have to manage stuff. And at that time, there wasn't even e-agent. It was just freaking lists, printed out list from a dot matrix printer that you, not dot matrix, but yeah, you know, they do whatever. And I'd say, look, you don't have to, there's no specific best way. It's just, you have to make the calls. If you don't make the calls, I don't care what all this, your legend says and, you know, what your thing is. If you don't just pick up the phone, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Cause I'm sure you've seen that a lot. And I feel like I'm talking way too much, but
no, it's all good. It's all right, man. I'm curious.
So, and I'm sure you've had this and you've seen it and maybe you've even done it. Cause I know I did it. I did it at Merrill. And I remember one of the older guys saying, dude, just pick up the phone. What are you doing? Like, you know, you come in and, okay, today I'm going to do it. Today I just need to get organized. So I need to check. And, you know, I mean, I hear it like, oh, I had to check on Gateway to make sure they didn't know. You don't, just call them. I don't care.
Right.
You'll get good and learn from figuring out how to tap dance out of that uncomfortable situation where you called them and they said, I already have everything. And then you go, well, great. Is it your birthday or whatever? Right. You just come up, tap dance. Like if you can't think on your feet, then you can't be successful at this job.
That's true. We do this. It reminds me of we haven't done it in a few months and we should probably do it again, but we used to do customer Russian roulette. So we would just flip that switch and everybody was dialing all of our current customers and talk to them about life insurance. It's like, but what product? Who cares? Get them on the phone.
Just talk to them.
Say thanks for being with us.
Dude,
go from there.
So we do, we do different incentives for everybody here. Like just little ideas I came up with. If somebody signs up somebody for Easy Pay, they get $5. If somebody
That's cool.
gets a Google review and they're named in it, they get $5. But it also is like, look, when you're on that phone, you got to come away with something. Even if it means you sign them up for Easy Pay or you got a Google review. That's about as non-threatening as you can get. It's like you're not selling them. You're just asked, like, you just helped them, right? This person helped you, or you helped them get their ID cards. You helped them update their EOI. Or you helped them with something, right? So at that point you say, look, I'd be really, really grateful if I send you this link and you just click on it and all you have to do is hit the 5-star. It will literally take you 5 seconds. And if you really want to help me, then just say, Debbie was great and Craig will give me $5. And 99% of the time they say, heck yes. Right? Like, why would they say no to that?
Yep.
Like, everybody's had a job and everybody wants recognition from that job. Right?
Yep.
Most people. And especially a little cash. Right? So, and I mean here, like, especially some of the ones that were morbidly afraid to ask for anything, like they're either not here or they embraced it.
Yeah. That's good.
And that's the culture now. The culture now, everybody's all about it.
What's the number one thing that you're excited about in the agency that's working, the number one process?
I don't even know if this is a process. You mean besides Agency Vault?
Yeah.
No. I think the number one thing when you first started that question is the culture.
Culture.
Because I've had some stretches, and especially at the end of my drinking career, we got down to where there was 0 staff, and slowly rebuilt. That's right. Brutal. Then there was 1, then there was 2, then there was, and we did this whole thing. Right. But in doing that, and it's hard when you get down to where you do a reboot, there's some chance of getting a bad element in because you're not slowly introducing. And if you do get a bad element, you gotta, like, that's the thing that I've learned is it is amazing how one bad apple really literally does spoil the bunch.
I just dealt with that. Yep.
I mean, it's, and what does it do? Like, it makes your hair, it gives me circles. It makes my hair like,
we had to
stress level
reboot.
Right. But it's also liberating if you have to, right? But so I've done it. I did it last year. I had to get rid of 4 LSPs. We were on pace for Inner Circle. I mean, it's a decision that cost a lot of money, but it wasn't sustainable. There was somebody out of 4 of them, or all of them, somebody was not doing things the right way. Nothing illegal, but causing drama, and it affects everybody, right?
It does.
Not showing up and then being late and then complaining, and it starts adding up, and you just got to cut it. Especially when like, if I was to give advice to people, if you know that at some point you're going to get rid of this person, then get rid of them yesterday, because all they're doing is creating problems for you.
Yeah. Where were you a couple months ago?
Huh? Yeah.
So we're going to stop it here. This is Craig Pretzinger, back with you. We're going to stop it here. We did get through about another hour and a half of chatting. The roles flipped. We ended up actually interviewing Jason a little bit, and we're going to get to that in the next couple weeks. But we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please comment, hit us with a subscribe on iTunes or on Google Play, and we will see you next week.